Ever wondered what would happen if Newton and Einstein had a tea party? No? Well, neither did they, but let's imagine it anyway. Picture this: Newton, the apple-loving genius, and Einstein, the man with the wild hair and starry eyes, sitting down for a delightful tea session. Sounds like the setup of a rather intellectual joke, doesn't it? Imagine the dialogue between these two. Newton might start off with his laws of motion, explaining how an apple falling from a tree led him to his groundbreaking discoveries. Meanwhile, Einstein might raise an eyebrow, stir his tea, and casually drop in about his theory of relativity. Maybe he'd even make a joke about how time seems to slow down when you're waiting for your tea to steep. And just like that, the air would be filled with theories of gravity, light, and the fundamental laws of the universe. But don't worry, it's not all physics and no fun. After all, even geniuses need a good laugh. Well, let's not keep them waiting. Newton, Einstein, your tea is ready. As Einstein pours the tea, Newton eyes the apple pastry on the table. Ah, the humble apple, Newton begins. Did you know, Einstein, that it was an apple that inspired my theory of gravity? Einstein, raising an eyebrow, replies, Oh really? And how does that work, pray tell? Well, Newton starts, I was sitting under an apple tree one day, and an apple fell on my head. That got me thinking. Why did the apple fall straight down and not sideways or upwards? That's when it hit me, no pun intended, that there's a force pulling the apple towards the ground. I called it gravity. Einstein chuckles. Newton, my good man, that's an adorable story. But let me enlighten you. You see, gravity is not just a force pulling objects towards the ground, it's a curvature in space-time caused by mass and energy. My theory of relativity explains this. Newton, unimpressed. Space-time curvature, eh? Sounds like you're making things unnecessarily complicated. My apple theory is simple and easy to understand. Einstein, chuckling, counters. Newton, old chap, science isn't about simplicity. It's about accuracy. My theory explains why light bends around massive objects and yours doesn't. Newton, grumbling, says, Well, I don't see any light bending around your teapot. But I do see that apple pastry defying your space-time curvature on the table. Einstein, grinning, says, Oh, Newton, you're such a character. The pastry isn't defying gravity. It's just that the table is providing an upward force counteracting gravity. Newton, still grumbling, says, Sounds a convenient excuse to me. Einstein, with a smirk, says, So, Newton, how's that apple pastry defying gravity on your plate? Or is it just practicing social distancing? Newton, with a mouth full of apple pastry, tries to retort. His cheeks puff out like a chipmunk on a diet cheat day as he struggles to find words, all while keeping his mouth closed. He attempts with a muffled voice, pointing his finger at Einstein for emphasis. Meanwhile, Einstein, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, grins and leans back in his chair. Ah, Newton. Always the one to bite off more than he can chew, both in food and in theory. He chuckles, causing the silverware to shake with his hearty laughter. The debate continues, with both scientists unable to convince the other. They throw jabs and jests, poking fun at each other's theories in a friendly manner. The room fills with a warmth that only comes from two great minds colliding, their ideas clashing like titans. Newton, finally swallowing his pastry, responds, Well, Einstein, at least my theory doesn't need a black hole to make sense. Einstein, with a hearty laugh, raises his teacup. The air brims with the rich aroma of intellectual camaraderie, seasoned with a dash of good-natured ribbing. Despite the heated debates and the clash of theories, Newton and Einstein are thoroughly enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, the topic of conversation shifts from the mysteries of the universe to the art of brewing the perfect cup of tea. Einstein, with his wild hair and twinkling eyes, passionately argues for a strong brew, while Newton, ever the traditionalist, insists on a delicate balance of flavors. The banter continues, and they find themselves in the middle of a lively discussion about hairstyles. Einstein's wild mane versus Newton's neat coiffure. They chuckle, teasing each other about their iconic looks. Their laughter echoes around them, a testament to their unlikely friendship. As they finish their tea, Einstein says, Newton, Despite your outdated theories, you sure do know how to pick a good apple pastry. And by good, I mean it's not floating away. And with that, their short but eventful tea party comes to an end. Newton and Einstein, two titans of science, found themselves at loggerheads, their theories clashing like titanic tides. But amid the intensity, a shared love for tea and pastries emerged. A sweet, crumbly ceasefire in the battle of brains. It seems that even the greatest minds can't resist a good scone. So, the next time you're enjoying a cup of tea, remember Newton and Einstein's debate and ask yourself, who really had the last laugh? Or was it the apple pastry?